Welcome to the Gaze into Cinema YouTube channel. To grasp the beginning of the Bangladesh Freedom War, we should dive into the historical setting of the region. Bangladesh, previously East Pakistan, was geographically separated from West Pakistan, present-day Pakistan, by over 1,600 kilometers of Indian territory. Although these two regions shared the Islamic faith, their ethnic, linguistic, and cultural differences were distinct. The seeds of conflict were planted well before the war erupted in 1971. The partition of British India in 1947 gave birth to two independent nations, India and Pakistan. Pakistan was created as a nation for Muslims and was initially divided into two geographically separated wings, West Pakistan and East Pakistan. West Pakistan was more populous and economically dominant, which created an inherent power imbalance. Economic disparities. The economic policies of the Pakistani government favored West Pakistan, leading to a significant divergence in resource allocation. East Pakistan, despite its larger population, was marginalized in terms of economic development, resulting in discontent among its people. Linguistic and cultural differences. The language spoken in East Pakistan was Bengali, while the language of West Pakistan was Urdu. The government's efforts to impose Urdu as the sole national language further distanced the Bengali-speaking population. This language issue became a symbol of social alienation and added fuel to the growing resentment. Events leading to the conflict. The period leading up to the Bangladesh Freedom War was marked by political unrest, tensions, and a struggle for autonomy. The circumstances that unfolded during this time laid the groundwork for the eventual armed conflict. The language movement of 1952 in East Pakistan, also known as the language movement or language uprising, was a significant milestone in the region's history. It was a protest against the government's decision to impose Urdu as the sole official language. The movement resulted in the deaths of several protesters and ignited the fire of linguistic and cultural identity among the Bengali population. The 1965 war between India and Pakistan further strained relations between the two wings of Pakistan. The Bengalis, who had not seen the benefits of the war despite their significant contribution, became increasingly disillusioned with the government in West Pakistan. Political movements for autonomy and self-determination gained momentum in East Pakistan. The Awami League, led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, emerged as a prominent force advocating for the rights of the Bengali population. The 1970 general elections in Pakistan were a turning point, as the Awami League won a landslide victory, securing 160 of the 162 seats allocated to East Pakistan in the National Assembly. The 1970 cyclone and aid programs. In November 1970, a devastating cyclone struck East Pakistan, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. The Pakistani government's inadequate response to the disaster and insufficient aid programs fueled the resentment of the Bengali population, who felt abandoned by the central government. The outbreak of war. The political landscape had shifted significantly after the 1970 elections, with the Awami League winning a clear mandate for autonomy. However, the ruling authorities in West Pakistan were reluctant to relinquish power, and the situation quickly escalated towards armed conflict. Operation Searchlight. On March 7, 1971, in response to growing demands for autonomy, the Pakistani military launched Operation Searchlight. The operation aimed to suppress the political and civil rights movements in East Pakistan. It marked the beginning of a brutal crackdown on the Bengali population. Declaration of Independence. On March 26, 1971, following Operation Searchlight, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared the independence of Bangladesh. This declaration marked the official start of the Bangladesh Freedom War, as the Bengali population rallied themselves to resist the Pakistani military's oppressive measures. International involvement. As the conflict escalated, India became increasingly involved. Thousands of refugees poured into India to escape the violence in East Pakistan, straining India's resources and attracting international attention and sympathy towards the Bangladeshi cause. The Bangladesh Freedom War. The war was a brutal and protracted struggle, with the Bengali population fighting for their freedom against the Pakistani military. The conflict was marked by intense violence, mass atrocities, and suffering on a massive scale. Guerrilla warfare. The Bengali Mukti Bahini, or freedom fighters, waged a guerrilla campaign against the Pakistani military. They used hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, and sabotage operations to undermine the occupiers. Humanitarian crisis. The war resulted in a massive humanitarian crisis, with thousands of refugees fleeing to India to escape the violence. The refugee crisis overwhelmed India's resources and infrastructure. International diplomacy. The international community watched the conflict with growing concern. India's political efforts to garner support for the Bangladeshi cause culminated in India's military intervention in the war on December 3, 1971. This intervention played a crucial role in the eventual outcome of the conflict. Surrender and independence. On December 16, 1971, Pakistani forces in Dhaka, the capital of East Pakistan, surrendered to the joint Indian and Bangladeshi forces, marking the end of the war. Bangladesh had achieved independence after 9 months of intense struggle and sacrifice. Human cost of the war. The Bangladesh Freedom War of 1971 exacted a devastating human cost, with estimates of casualties ranging from 300,000 to 3 million people. The brutality of the war and the loss of innocent lives left deep scars on the collective memory of the Bengali population. Loss of life. The conflict saw widespread loss of life through military action, indiscriminate killings, and targeted violence against civilians. Many civilians were subjected to systematic atrocities, including rape and mass killings. Refugee crisis. The massive influx of refugees into India was not only a consequence of the war but also a humanitarian crisis in its own right. The refugee camps were overcrowded and under-resourced, leading to widespread suffering and death due to disease and malnutrition. Psychological trauma. The war left lasting psychological trauma on survivors, especially women who were victims of sexual violence and those who had witnessed the horrors of the conflict. Consequences and aftermath. The Bangladesh Freedom War resulted in significant consequences that shaped the region's history and politics for years to come. The birth of Bangladesh. The primary outcome of the war was the birth of the independent territory of Bangladesh. December 16, 1971, marked the day when Bangladesh became a sovereign nation, ending years of subjugation. International realignment. The war led to a realignment of international dynamics in South Asia. The US and China supported Pakistan, while the Soviet Union supported India. This alignment had a lasting impact on regional and global politics. War Crimes Tribunal. In the aftermath of the war, efforts were made to address the crimes committed during the conflict. The International Crimes Tribunal in Bangladesh was established to hold individuals accountable for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Bangladesh's national identity. The war played a significant role in shaping Bangladesh's national identity and its commitment to democratic values and human rights. The nation's identity is rooted in the struggle for independence and the memory of the war. The Bangladesh Freedom War of 1971 remains a highly significant event in the history of South Asia, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a community who fought for their right to self-determination. The war was marked by immense sacrifice, suffering, and resilience, but it ultimately resulted in the birth of Bangladesh as an independent nation. The legacy of the war continues to shape the nation's identity and its commitment to democracy and human rights. This chapter in history serves as a reminder of the enduring human spirit and the quest for freedom in the face of oppression and persecution. Enchanted Gaze Cinema storytelling delves deep into the magic of movies from script to screen, discovering tragedy and video content. Thanks for watching.